So about a month ago, I was working on an Iron Man video, and in total, I've tried to post it about 4 times. YouTube has continued to reject it due to copyright strikes on the video footage content side of things. And overall, one very influential person in my life told me the video was too dang long. So I'm going to redo it in this nice, short, quick retrospective that I'm doing on one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time. So, welcome to the show. This is the Hero's Advisor, and today I'm doing a retrospective flashback on Iron Man 2008. Let's begin. So when I'm talking about this movie, the first thing I have to say about it is the cast. Starting off with the star, Robert Downey Jr. He was a total risk to put on the film at the time. Marvel Studios wasn't sure if the film was going to make any money or if anyone really care about the character of Iron Man, seeing as how he wasn't the most popular in the Marvel comics like Captain America or Spider-Man. So casting a very controversial, kind of washed up actor and having Jon Favreau directing, this movie was, for all intents and purposes, a huge risk. Marvel Studios was in their infancy and they wanted to get off the ground, and I don't know why they chose Iron Man to be the first film to put out, but it was definitely a great result. Iron Man 2008 is one of the best Marvel movies or best superhero movies ever put out. And a big part of that is due to the cast. Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark absolutely nails the character. He has a very commanding presence. He's very, very sarcastic, and Robert Downey Jr. exudes that in his portrayal of Tony Stark. You've got Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. You've got Terrence Howard in his only appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as James Rhodes, or Rhodey. You've got Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan, and I really love that character. And Jon Favreau as a director, of course, doing The Jungle Book and Elf, Chef. Really some great films. He did The Lion King. He did the most recent Lion King, if you're interested in that. This is a great cast that we have going for this first film in the Marvel Universe. And it's very specific. The Marvel Universe is not just, oh, Marvel movie here or there. They're really trying to build a universe. And the important thing that Marvel did, and what DC is not doing, or did not do, is that Marvel started with a single film. They didn't know if it was going to make any money whatsoever. They did not expect it to be a huge hit, that it was, but they took it one movie at a time. DC was interested in just building up this universe instantly. And I feel Marvel really took their time with it. Only about 4 years. 2008 was Iron Man, then 2012 was The Avengers, their big hit film. So it was only 4 years. But they started very small. They started with very small expectations. They weren't sure how it was going to do, and it turned out really good, and that's where all the previous films came from. Anyway, that's a little off track. So the plot is obviously, if you haven't seen Iron Man, really quick, summed up the plot is that Iron Man has inherited Tony Stark has inherited a weapons manufacturing company, and the weapons fall into the wrong hands, and he decides to put a stop to it once he understands the weight of the situation and how much involvement that he really does have. In one line in the movie, he says, "Well, I'm not my company." A lot of him really is his company, and he learns to accept the decisions of others, I feel, even though Obadiah Stane, his big mentor and essentially the big baddie of this villain, he goes over Tony's head and becomes the villain and hands the weapons over to the Ten Rings in the Middle East, and that's what the big second act conflict is. So it's a very simple plot, but you see a lot of character development in Tony Stark and how he just doesn't really care about anything or the impact that his weapons have on the world, to being a superhero, to being someone who really cares about others and cares about the impact that he has on the world and his legacy. His legacy is very important to him. His legacy is almost the theme of the film. Responsibility, I'd say, is the theme of the film, but Tony Stark cares a lot about his legacy. The quality of the filmmaking and the directing is pretty high budget for the first Marvel film, so that's still rather impressive even 11 years later. The CGI seriously holds up. I love the CGI in this film. The suit looks real. Even in the pan-around shot with Mark II, the silver first suit, it looks like it's there. Even when, probably the worst part of the CGI is when Tony's taking off the suit. It is, although the arms kind of grabbing and trying to pull off the suit, they do look CGI, but this film holds up astoundingly well. I don't really even know how they did it. It's very impressive, the CGI in this film. The suit always looks like you can reach out and touch it. In previous films, you've got the floating head, Tony Stark in the airport scene when he's talking to Cap in Captain America Civil War, and they've got the bodysuit-ish looking Mark 52 bleeding edge armor in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, but this is the most realistic tangible looking suit that there has ever been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The music is inspired from Tony Stark's own interests from AC/DC and hard rock. I think that was really well integrated into the film. It's used sparingly, but I like it. It's a good payoff when it is used, because you know that's the kind of music that Tony enjoys. What really sells me on this entire film is the character of Tony Stark. If you had someone much less charismatic playing this character, or just a different character in general, Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. are the same person. They really work well together. And for his first role, Robert Downey Jr. really nailed it. I really care about this character, and the character development in this movie is what I think of. When I think character development, I think Iron Man. I really love Tony's arc in this film. It is covered in only one film, about 2-hour movie, but it's great when it hits him that he has a big part in the events going on over in the Middle East, how it's destroying some people's lives and others are profiting off of these very powerful weapons. He decides to take an active role in everything that's happening and put a stop to all of it. And it's cathartic seeing Iron Man fly over, just take a quick cruise over to the Middle East from California and put a stop to the Ten Rings who are using his weapons. Of course, Obadiah Stane, his so-called mentor, is behind everything. And it took me a while when I was little watching this movie to understand that Obadiah Stane was really behind it all, and not just, oh, he's got a big mech suit at the end. Which is also another thing. The one thing I don't really like about this movie is that there's not enough action for an action superhero movie. It's a big character drama, and I really like that part of it, because the previous Marvel films were really going to the action-y part, but this one takes its time with the characters, and I really like that. So not enough action. And the other thing is the big gray villain kind of thing. Nando V Movies does a lot of videos on big gray villains that are visually, in films, that are visually and thematically not very interesting. Obadiah Stane is acted very well by Jeff Bridges, but the character's I thought he's a little kind of dry, and his motivations are just to be the head of the company after he saw Howard Stark pass on, and then Tony gets the company. He feels very passed over. So he just wants the company, basically, and he's willing to kill Tony to do it. So he's a villain, and he's got a big gray suit, and he's not very visually interesting, but I liked him as a villain. I thought the third act was pretty good. A lot of people don't really seem to like it. Yeah, so those are the two things. It's just not enough action, and Obadiah Stane as a big gray villain. But my favorite scene in the movie would probably have to be when Tony flies back to Gulmira and puts a stop to the Ten Rings from terrorizing a small town. That is a wonderful scene. There's not that much dialogue. It's just Iron Man being Iron Man in the suit. And then, yeah, I really like the scene in Gulmira. That's a great scene. Overall, I think this movie was top 5 in my top 10 Marvel movies. I might have to revise that because I'm seeing Endgame again. Now I've got it on hard copy. I got the Steelbook at Best Buy. That's really good. And I'm going to watch Infinity War and Endgame back to back. But this is my 5th favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that has been released so far. There's been 23 films, Iron Man to Spider-Man Far From Home. So I don't plan on reviewing all of them, but if you haven't seen Iron Man 2008, give it a watch. It's a great Friday night movie. It's really fun, and you can really see where the Marvel Cinematic Universe began. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Stay tuned for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.